Solo, I love you. My tribal chief. I got tickets.
I got tickets. Well, what's up, boys and girls? It is episode 16 of the Story Continues cast. Right off the bat, quick little disclaimer. Few updates. One, my co-host, he's in a new spot. He's been streaming from the basement. I'm over here. You guys might notice a little something new. A little something. You can see a little more of the collection. Actually got rid of the couch, you know what I'm saying? So we got a little more space in this room.
See.
And your boy has been out indefinitely with a virus, mononucleosis, just like Sam Darnold. But I'm back. That's why we're back. The podcast is back. It's been a while. Last time we were live was to discuss the pre-podcast to Bad Blood, which was a great pay-per-view. We can briefly touch upon that because we never did a post-podcast.
True.
And we're back because now it's already time this Saturday for Crown Jewel. And we always know how it goes with Triple H, the Triple H era, the Renaissance era. He likes the 5-match special. But this pay-per-view is shaping up to be a little different. We already have 6 confirmed matches that we have to go through. But on top of that, I read rumors, I don't know how much you've read, but I read rumors that we have another match already confirmed that is not in this official match card that I have up because it's going to be announced on SmackDown, airing this Friday.
Ooh.
So,
literally right the day before? Wow.
Yes, this is what I'm hearing. Is it official? Who knows? But this is what the leak is. But first off, welcome to the podcast, episode 16. I've lost track of how many you've been on at this point. How you doing, Mista? How's the basement? How's life? How's everything?
Hey. I'm doing good on my end. Obviously, since our host here was out indefinitely with mononucleosis. I've been keeping up with my wrestling end. Of course, I've watched Bad Blood. But since then, obviously, it's been very kind of sports-like. Since then, honestly, so much has happened. Because what was that? Like beginning of September? Since then, sports has been happening. Football's taken off. Baseball, we're already in the World Series. The Phillies.
Fuck Red October.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Bad Blood was the only other thing bad in October was that Red October ended pretty early. But that's okay. It's all right because the Mets lost too. Fuck the Mets. Hate that. I know a lot of people out there are Mets fans, so fuck them. Glad to see the Dodgers are winning right now. They're up 2-0 against the Yankees. Be cool. Also, excited to see a series like that. But besides the point, obviously a lot of stuff has happened, and I'm sure there's a couple other small things we can touch upon with this WWE and other wrestling news because there's been a lot of stuff that is really stuff out of nowhere, whether that's with personnel changes, new additions to the roster, new champions, new storylines, you name it. There's so much going on, and it's crazy that it doesn't even feel like it's been since September, since the last time we did an episode. But even a month and change later, so much has happened. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Hell yeah, man! I think before we dive into the match card, you touched upon it, but so much has happened. As I discussed earlier, we did do the Bad Blood preview, but we never talked about it. I think the biggest storylines to come out of that was everything that we've gotten recently with the Bloodline. You had Jimmy Uso come back at Bad Blood. You had the mother, the final boss, The Rock. He showed up. He looked, and he left.
And then he did 1, 2, 3. Then he left. I was like,
and then he cut an Instagram live promo. That was all. So the final boss is indeed back. We have not seen him since Bad Blood.
Back to ruin CM Punk's time one more time.
Back to ruin CM Punk's time once again. Kicked CM Punk out of the main event all these years later. That's classic Rock.
I don't know how I feel about that, man.
Classic Rock. I guess briefly just to touch upon it for me with Bad Blood. I did watch it a day or two later just because I was so busy at the time. But yeah, CM Punk, Drew, incredible feud, incredible match.
Awesome match.
Kind of the middle of the PLE was a little dry. You had Dom, Rhea, Liv.
That was
a couple other mid matches on there. The main event was good. Seeing Roman and Cody was a lot of aura, and obviously having been at WrestleMania 40, I was pretty nostalgic to see them back in the ring. Yes, sir. But we kind of guessed it on that pre-show. We were like, the only reason this is main eventing is because fuck that, he's coming back, the final boss. But have a little chance here on the floor. Say anything you want about Bad Blood before we dive into the other personnel changes and other WWE news.
Of course. I mean, obviously it's been a minute since then, so I might be forgetting a couple of them. For the ones that did stick out, obviously Drew and Punk, really good match, really good conclusion to their almost year-long feud at this point since WrestleMania. really they put on a really good show. Look, brutal as hell in Hell in a Cell. That's the name of the game, right? It's supposed to be hell. Other than that, a couple standout matches. Obviously, the main event was really cool to see Roman and Cody tag with a tag team. I told my mom because she was, if you guys remember, or I don't know if I said it before, but she watched I believe night 2 of WrestleMania while we were down at the stadium, and she was telling him and me afterwards, like, oh my gosh, like I was thrilled. I was like literally. Like, every time someone, during the final match, like every time someone came out and like, the crowd popped off, everyone was just going, holy shit. So she was invested and she's happy to see that too. I don't think she watched Bad Blood though. Besides that, the only outlier, and I know a lot of people say this, the one thing that stuck out to me, it was really disappointing. And the other thing too, I forgot about this, the match between Finn and Priest. That also just kind of fell south for me. Like, I really don't know. Like, and then we talked about Finn Balor before. He's just getting nowhere. And I think the current state, we can talk about this later. It could have even been another episode. The current state of the Judgment Day, or the Street Trash Judgment Day, whatever you want to call them, it's just like, it's falling flat. It's really falling flat. And I hate to say this too, but the Liv and Rhea feud is definitely, it's plateauing. And I think even though they bring in back Raquel Rodriguez, like to kind of add on to that feud a little bit, it's just not doing it for me. And unfortunately, I feel like this feud will go way past Survivor Series. I think it's going to go into WrestleMania, but I just hope it ends there. I don't want to see anything else. And that could also change depending on what happens with a certain Tiffy time. But we'll get to that later.
Yes.
We'll see. But yeah, overall, great PLE. A lot of people kind of may have mixed feelings about it. I enjoyed it. Obviously, some parts that just weren't too good, but I really just enjoyed some of the big highlights. So it had the highs and the lows, but I liked it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it was just we knew going into it that it had a big fight feel, like the overall PLE, and I feel like it lived up to that. I feel like, definitely the two highlights were like the start and the end. Like, yeah, like we said, kind of the middle was just eh. And then, yeah, I do think, like, the fallout from that PLE is, like, unfortunately same. Like, I remember going into Bad Blood, I was like, man, like, I'm all for Finn Balor. I hope he wins. That man got squashed. That man got ran through. And yeah, the Street Trash is just struggling. And I'm just like, man, like, first off, give Finn Balor his theme song back. Give this man his aura back. Like, what's going on here? And then, yeah, I have been reading that a lot. Like, a lot of people are really turning their back on the Liv and Rhea feud. Like, it is just very dragged.
I thought it was going to end at SummerSlam. I legit thought that was, like, the end point, because it literally started. It's even started before WrestleMania at this point, so it's been going on for that long. We're like, all right, we need a definitive ending point. Still haven't gotten it.
But I think you're getting a lot of the fatigue when the whole show was like the same feuds, like where it was Punk and Drew, Liv and Rhea, like Cody and the Bloodline always going at it. It's like when if you have one or two long feuds, like for example, like Carmelo and Carmelo and Andrade, which we'll be talking about later in this podcast because they have a match. They've been feuding in like the best of 7 thing. Like, at least for me, that feels a little fresher than like some of these other rivalries that have been going to WrestleMania. So it's not like long feuds are a bad thing, but when you have like 3 to 4 like long feuds that have been going on since WrestleMania, if not longer, and like it's like the show is just the same thing. You're like, oh, out comes Rhea Ripley, here comes the like Judgment Day segment. Like, you can just guess the show because it's the same damn thing. I think that's when it gets so repetitive. So now that we're finally done with Punk and McIntyre, not like it was bad, it's just because it's been so long, you're just like, all right, like how much longer is Liv and Rhea gonna keep fighting? Like, like you just want these feuds to end and like move on to the next chapter. So I do get the part of the fatigue there, but to be honest with you, there's still so much to talk about WWE. We still have 6, if not 7 matches to go through on this podcast. We're not going to be able to touch everything. So I think to pick up the pace, there is one major storyline that I want to just touch upon quick. You can bring up another storyline if you want before we get into the match card, if there's any other big changes. But I think the biggest one that in recent history has been someone that WWE really, really was pushing, someone that WWE was really, really just putting on a pedestal for a good reason, as there was so much talent present. And then randomly, right before Monday Night Raw, you get news that it's over. It's over. I think the biggest story so far has been Samantha Irvin has departed from WWE literally at the drop of a dime. Some of the most iconic ring announcements we have gotten in recent history. Personally, like, I do think there is a large touch of recency bias, because at the end of the day, if you ask most wrestling fans, they're going to say Howard Finkel, Tony Chimmel, like old ass announcers. But I think Samantha Irvin was up there, man. Like, if she had more time and she stayed consistent, like, she is GOAT conversation. But she's gone. I want to hear your reaction. A lot of people instantly were like, fuck Ricochet. She didn't like being an announcer.
Okay.
What you feel?
So, yeah, first off, fuck Ricochet, all right? People are saying he's going to take her to AEW. She's not doing that. But first, it's all his fault. I knew it. But on a real note, honestly, at first, when I'm hearing that, I'm just like, dude, like, what the hell? Like, I thought it was kind of like WWE's fault at first, which, I mean, I could say it kind of still is, but like, at first I was like, come on, man. Like, she's, like you said, yeah, it could be recency bias, but this is someone who literally just got into wrestling this year and was present to hear her announce all these really important matches and hear that voice crack when she announced Cody Rhodes as the new WWE champion. That was amazing. It was cool to be in that moment. And that's always going to be synonymous. I know Cody even said that on like a poster or just somewhere else where he said that moment will live in his head forever, and she's the one calling it, so of course it's going to be there. But hearing out that, yes, she did say she left because she didn't want to be an announcer. That was her in the company. And she did a really good job at it. But like, what else could she? I don't know. I mean, no, I'm not trying to be like mean or nothing. But like, what else could she have done? Like, she said she wanted to do more. Oh, no, sorry. She said she wanted to be like a manager or something, which I could see that. But like, I just think in the moment that like, if the company knows that you're good at one thing, I can understand that like if you want to do more and they're like, no, but you're good at this thing, like you kind of feel restricted. So I do get that. However, I am extremely disappointed. I really am. I thought she was going to be at least staying out throughout the rest of the year. And it was really weird timing. I guess, like you said too, it was literally like just such a short notice that Lillian Garcia found out that day, like, hey, you're back in. And he's like, oh, okay. And then what was it? She botched like one of the, I forget what it was.
Number 1 containers
Container.
match.
This is a number 1 containers match. And I was like, yeah, containers. So I thought that was funny. Hey, she's rusty. It's all right. But yeah, I mean, last thing I'll say about it too is that it's very disappointing. I know obviously a lot of people were like, fuck you, Ricochet. This is all your fault. This is your bum-ass AEW, tight-wearing, flip-flopping head ass, whatever, right? I wish the absolute best for her. I've been a huge fan of her since day one. I mean, but I mean, besides that, she really is a cool person. She's funny. She has the temperament of someone to be a ring announcer or even, a future GM, whatever you want to say. But best of luck to her in all her future endeavors. I hope she pops up somewhere soon. I hope her career is still as successful. But yeah, it just sucks because like that was literally just like one of the most random things to happen. And yeah, that's all I really feel about it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And I think that is complex because once you hear the real story, it's like, oh, okay, like nothing you can really do. Like she has to pursue what she wants, but like it's just tough when like even if it's not what you want to be doing, like I guess like almost like just so naturally and so like effortlessly, like you're just one of the goats. like it's like if I wasn't good at football, but I just so happened to have the skill of like Tom Brady, like that's kind of tough to just be like, yeah, I actually didn't want to be a quarterback. Like it's like I don't know, man. Like it's complicated. It's like if you're just that good at something, like maybe it's just your calling. Like like obviously at the end of the day, if she wants to go pursue music, movies, be the announcer or a manager in AEW, whatever it is that she's going to do, like pursue your dreams. But
of course
she is hands down, like I think will always be like in that conversation. Unfortunately, I do think the sample size is just smaller compared to most announcers. Like Lillian Garcia, for example, was the announcer for I want to say close to a decade for Raw, if not a little less or a little more. Like she was there for a while, I'm pretty sure. But I was actually talking to one of the other Story Continues cast hosts in person the other day, B-Grass, one of our AEW hosts, and we were talking about this situation, and like I made the point to him, I was like, I love Lillian Garcia. Like I grew up watching John Cena, WWE. She was the announcer. It just I feel like the reason this situation hurts and like Lillian Garcia coming in isn't enough like happiness, because it just felt like Lillian is so associated with like my childhood. Samantha's very associated with like the Renaissance era. It feels very much like she left. Lillian, like, you're only back because we need some nostalgia bounty points. Like it's just like it doesn't feel natural. Like it is what it is. Like if Lillian wants the job back, like at the end of the day she's still a legend, we respect her, But I don't know, it very much felt like Samantha Irvin's ballpark. She was hands down like the voice of WWE when it came to announcing. Obviously, the voice of WWE is Michael Cole, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it did hurt. It did suck, as you said, and I think that's hands down the number one piece of news right now. That is someone that they have pushed and put all over social media, and she did so much. She was always singing national anthems elsewhere. Like, she's just so talented for her voice, the way she projects her voice, can utilize her voice. That, yeah, it's a big hit for WWE, man. That's like,
yeah,
and it's one of those things where it's like it's a constant, you know, like. You can lose a wrestler, you can kind of replace that wrestler because there's so many other wrestlers you can give that screen time to. You lose a ring announcer, that's going to be, like, noticed the whole show because it's a whole new voice for every wrestler that comes out. So it's like, it's going to take a lot of getting used to. However, it is what it is. She's gone, you know?
And the worst part of that is she's still a Celtics fan.
Yeah! Woo! Shout out Massachusetts. Yeah.
Ugly ass. But
Let's
yeah,
go.
I mean, like last thing too, just about to before I want to get to my other short little points is just that, yeah, you know, and I think the other thing too is that I feel like in terms of her, like how like, a lot of it too, from what I've seen at least for modern day WWE, is how connected these performers and how like these, you know, members of like the organization are with their fans, especially on social media, because she has a Twitter account, she's an Instagram. So that's how we found out the true story is people were saying, oh, why are you shit talking WWE now after you're leaving? Or this is all Ricochet's fault or whatever, that type of thing. Like people will tweet at him like, you piece of shit, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So, I mean, take it as a grain of salt. You know, sometimes obviously fans get a bit too carried away, and I'm sure everyone knows that at this point. I think one of the funniest things too, as just a little sidebar, is I love the fact that modern day sports and just entertainment, like you have people who are on social media. So someone like, for instance, like I crack up every time like Kevin Durant like responds to someone saying like, why didn't you hit that shot, you bum? And it's like, get a job, loser, or something. Like it's the funniest thing ever to see that. So I think that's adds on to, especially with wrestling. But yeah, so that's that. But I have two little small things really to talk about before we get to this. One of them, we talked about like how cinematic the ending was with Drew and Punk, but I think it's so cool how once that's done, you know, Punk says, I'm done with it. The second he says that, all you hear is burn it down, and all of a sudden Seth freaking Rollins just walks out there, struts out, stares him dead in the eyes as you're next. So boom, I'm excited for that for you. That's gonna be fun. He's got to take care of a certain someone though at Crown Jewel. We'll get to that in a second. But the other thing too I want to talk about is that it's because it was so short. We literally had a new champion for what, like 3 weeks, and then lost it again, and that's main event Jey Uso. Yeet. You know, I know it's for the storyline. I know that's why it had to happen, but man, it was cool to see him win, man. It really was. But to see, you know, Braun Breaker take it back, it is what it is for that too. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. But I think also that gave us one of the funniest memes of Solo with his 2 tickets. He's got tickets. Which I will say, and you know, I'm a hypocrite for saying this too, Solo's kind of growing on me, man. Like,
I've been reading that. People are starting to like Solo.
Dude, like, I don't know what it is, but like, I mean, I'll tell you what, I think obviously he's been working a lot on his presence on the mic. On the mic, he's he obviously is nowhere near as like Roman or, you know, like even like Cena. Or, you know, those are legends on the mic. But he's getting there. Like, he's able to kind of mess with the crowd. He's able to kind of be like, hey, shut up, acknowledge me, that type of thing. And he's able to kind of, you know, lead his you know, Temu bloodline to, you know, essentially, you know, have some kind of aura. He's developing some aura, some trainer aura maybe, but you know, it's still there. But yeah, so Jey Uso became a champion, great. Unfortunately had to lose it, but only to progress the story. And speaking of the story, let's get on to our main event.
Yes, as the story continues, I do want to jump into the match card, but then you just gave me some more inspiration to just hit some last final points before we dive in. This podcast is already probably like 20-something minutes long, so we're going to speed through some of these early matches to try to catch up and make some time. Okay, first, you mentioned Jey Uso. I agree. I have already come on this podcast multiple times and said I'm not the biggest fan of Braun Breaker. I think he's so talented. I think he's a better heel, which I'm glad that he's kind of going back to his heel roots right now. I think it sucks. I think Jey Uso is doing great as a single star right now. I want to see him in the Bloodline Civil War, but like the second like War Games like passes, I hope he goes back. Like I hope he just goes back to do his own thing and he's yeet. Like I don't personally really want to see the Usos like reuniting and all that long term. I'm in it for the nostalgia. I'm in it for the storyline. Past that, stay yeeting, bro. He's doing so good. Like it definitely did hurt me they lost the title. But when you said that, it did inspire me to briefly just mention we do have the Motor City Machine Guns coming. Only win 3 matches and other champions. I watched them when they were still in TNA back in the day, so I've always been a big fan. On my Apple Music as a kid, like I had their TNA theme song in there, so I've always been a fan. It's cool seeing all this time later that they have come and finally won titles in WWE. Yeah, WWE is just strapping a racket on them and sending them off. That's going to be a transition into the first match because we're going to start with the women's tag team match. But there was one other thing I'm trying to think of that you had mentioned that I wanted to touch upon.
Seth, Braun, no.
Punk.
What else is
Seth,
there really?
Jay. Maybe we already touched upon everything. It might come back to me.
Okay.
So until it comes back to me, we're going to jump into some of this. From the tag team of Motor City Machine Guns to now the women's tag match. We've talked about this every single time. Aside from once in a while, Jade and Bianca getting to defend their title, tag team titles are never on these PLEs, man. Like, I'm happy that the Machine Guns are getting some pop, some notoriety, some social media clicks, but yeah. I have not seen these tag team titles in general be defended since what? Was it Money in the Bank? Was it like WrestleMania with the ladder match? Like that might be it. It might be ladder match, like way back. So it's crazy that these titles get no love, and honestly, that's why I think we can kind of burn through this match. No disrespect to the performers, but it is a fatal 4-way. Women's tag team title match.
Yeah. I will say though, like, I mean, real quick too, like, thank God that at least for Raw they're doing like a contenders tournament for the Raw tag titles because Judgment Day wasn't doing shit with them, man. That's just it's unfortunate to see. Like you said, they're not in any big PLEs or nothing, so this is a good way to kind of elevate that. Same with the Machine Guns, but like for this match though, I'll tell you what, like, I'm a little kind of pumped up about it because you got what. Remind me of the teams real quick.
So we have champions Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson.
Oh, that's right, from NXT. Yeah.
Io Sky and Kairi Sane. A lot of talent in that ring.
Yeah, I think it can cook, and I think that all 4 of those teams like have something unique about them, and so. I think it's gonna be an underrated match. I don't know if they confirmed like the arrangement of which matches are starting. Do you know, or if it's just are they just like okay? But they probably will later on though. Yeah, I imagine
that's probably gonna be a middle of the card type.
Yeah,
of match.
I wouldn't be surprised if they start out with that though. I feel like that could be like a good kind of opener, like get people kind of invested in. But like I said, real quick too, before you go on to it, I think it's gonna be good. Do I think they're gonna retain? They could because I feel like they do elevate a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone else wins.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the end game here is I see Bianca versus Jade WrestleMania 41. I'm throwing that out there.
Ooh,
I feel like that is eventually the build. Will that night be at Crown Jewel where one of them turns, presumably Jade turning heel on Bianca? I don't know. I think in a 4. I feel like if anyone's gonna topple them, now is the time. Because I don't think WWE wants Bianca and Jade losing like one-on-one. Like they don't want either of these guys getting pinned. So I think a title change is gonna happen. I don't know if these NXT girls are gonna take it. It could just finally be like Chelsea Green's crowning moment. You could give it back to Kairi Sane and Io Sky, who have held these tag titles before with Damage Control.
Yeah.
It could go either way, but I think if the direction is Bianca vs. Jade at WrestleMania 41, this is where they're going to lose them in a multi-tag match. And I would personally love to see Io and Kairi get it because I've always been a fan of Damage Control and Io and Kairi. But will that happen? I don't know. That's why I kind of want to start with this match because I think it could go literally any way. It could even go, I mean, if they're strapping a rocket to Motor City Machine Guns, maybe they strap a rocket to this tag team from NXT. But yeah, I think it will be fun to have a little bit of the wild card aspect in this match. There's a lot of popular like individual acts, like obviously Io Sky being a former world champion, Chelsea Green always gets a pop, and then Jade and Bianca are just popular in their own rights, obviously. But yeah, do you have a specific prediction you think that could come?
I do. I like now that you mentioned that, like it could set up for Jade versus Bianca at 41. Maybe not for this one. I think they do retain, but I feel like something down the line like does happen. Okay. Maybe it could be something after War Games too. Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah, that's my prediction.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it a little open-ended and move along. I guess we'll see. But I do think that will definitely be a fun match. I see it kind of being like, I think the way that I would book Crown Jewel is like you start off with one of these strong matches. Maybe the next match we'll talk about Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. I think that could open the show.
Yeah.
So maybe you start with that, then you do the women's tag, then you just burn through the rest of the matches. But as I already hinted, our next match, Owens, Randy. This was a tag team that has been cooking for pretty much a while. I mean, we were there at WrestleMania 40 when the two of them took on Logan Paul and lost. That hurt.
Whoa,
but,
that was so dumb.
Yeah, after all this time, Kevin Owens is just hurt that Cody Rhodes was teaming with Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens has turned heel finally. And now, not only did he turn his back on Cody, but he has also turned his back on Randy Orton. They're now beefing. They're going to go one-on-one. I've been reading a lot of people saying Kevin Owens needs this win. However, a lot of people are expecting that Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes finally will fight. How do you see this one going? I could see it going either way. Both guys feel like they need the win.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, since Kevin Owens lost to Cody at Bash in Berlin, and same with Randy, he lost to Gunner. Gunner. Yeah, I feel like these guys both need a PLE win. However, I think given the circumstance and given the way the story is building, I think Kevin wins. I think people are saying like it could be going either way, maybe leaning towards Randy, but I feel like if it's for the story, like it doesn't really make sense for Randy to really win, because then he's like, look, I defeated Kevin Owens, boom, that's it, like that'll squash that, calm down. But if Kevin wins, takes out Randy and says, oh shit, like he can take out Randy Orton, like he's still gonna come for Cody again at some point, and that could also potentially lead Randy kind of, I wouldn't say downward spiral, but I guess something along the lines of like it'll start turning the gears and be like, wait a second here, or maybe like Kevin tries to convince him like, listen, like Cody's like doing some stupid shit right now, and Randy's like, wait a second, like you don't deserve that belt because of that, or the championship because of that, or something along those lines. But I feel like Kevin does get the win because it's been a while since he's had a good solid win like that. So yeah. I think he's the sleeper pick. If Randy does win, I'm interested to see how that affects the story. But I feel like at this point it'll probably be Kevin.
Yeah, I think Randy Orton is just so protected by who he is. Like I feel like he's lost to Gunther like 8 times, and like you're still like Randy Orton when he comes out, But yeah. Kevin Owens, like even though Kevin Owens is so respected and loved, like he is still on the newer side, so he definitely could be using wins far more than Randy. So I'll also join you. I'm going to say Kevin Owens takes a win here. However, it could go either way, because like I said, maybe they do just start building Randy Orton up to eventually topple Cody Rhodes or fight Cody Rhodes on a big stage. But it does seem like this is more just happening, and then maybe if Cody is to lose, which we'll talk about later, it's because one of these two guys, presumably Kevin, is getting involved to screw him over.
Ooh,
that is a prediction, an early spoiler to one of my predictions
for
to the final match. But as I said, moving along to continue this podcast, because there's so much to cover, you alluded to this next match, Bronson Reed, Seth Rollins. Rollins is out here at all these NFL games just saying, I hate football, jumping over barriers and shit. And here he is now after getting what's it called? The monsoon? No, not monsoon. Tsunami. I was like, what natural disaster is it called? After getting tsunami after tsunami written off television, he's back. He had the little confrontation with CM Punk to allude at their eventual final fight. I say final because it's been so long. We've been waiting for Punk versus Rollins ever since Punk returned to WWE. But yeah, he's got a literal monster in Bronson Reed to overcome. Who do you see taking this one? I've read a lot of people, once again, want the newer guy. But what do you think?
I mean, I'll tell you what. There's nothing really on the line for this, if that makes sense. Because, like, I feel like out of all the matches we have, it's either something really big with the story. I think, unfortunately, this match is a footnote.
Yeah.
And something maybe larger. Because I'm trying to think if Bronson Reed does win, like, good, that puts him over, but for what? Like, it doesn't make sense. Would he go after, let's say Braun Breaker? Would you see a potential triple threat match? Braun Breaker, Braun Strowman, Bronson Reed, all the Brawns, LeBron James. Is he gonna be there too? But like, but I feel like for at least for what I don't know, like something could happen with that. However, I do think because of the projected trajectory of Punk versus Rollins, I think Rollins gets this win because he would be his first win since coming back. I'm pretty sure, right, on a PLE, because he lost to who did he lose? Wait, who did he fight? I'm trying to remember.
I mean, I know, man, Mid Young. I know he was special guest ref at SummerSlam, and I feel like since just
he was at Bash in Berlin, right? Or am I tripping?
I don't know if he was at Bash in Berlin. He might have been. I low-key feel like Rollins literally was the MVP of WrestleMania 40. Then he kind of got knocked out. Then he came back and he was like, I'm back, doing his little laugh and cackle. And then last I remember is he got taken out by Bronson Reed, and now he's back again. So it's right. He just continues to come in and out, but I feel like he hasn't actually fought. So maybe he has been on a PLE, but it feels very long since Rollins has had a significant match or a match at all, if anything. Because I remember being at a Raw with one of the other hosts, Rivera, and Rollins I think had just come back and we got to see him, and he just did a typical promo, because that was a promo we did when the Celtics confetti came down. If you remember that promo.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
But that's all it was. It's I feel like he always would show up, do some promos, get written off TV, and then peace. So this feels like at least the first match I can remember of Rollins since WrestleMania. Maybe he's wrestled since. I'm more on the fence of Reed needs to win more, but yeah, it's where's Bronson Reed going long term? Is he more of just a monster that doesn't necessarily need wins to be taken seriously? I don't know. I don't know what direction they're going. I do see some kind of interference maybe in this match. Maybe it's CM Punk coming to cost Seth Rollins, or maybe it's someone like Braun Strowman or Bronson Reed's next feud to cost him the match. I just feel kind of like the Owens and Randy. It's this is another match where both guys could really use a win on a PLE.
Yeah.
And it's both guys would definitely suffer a little bit from a loss. I think when you compare the two, Seth Rollins has more safety net. If he does lose, it's damn, Seth just keeps losing, but he's still Seth Rollins. Oh, he's still gonna sing a song and he's got that aura. But Bronson Reed, as quickly as they built him up, could be brought back down. I mean, we've already experienced Bronson Reed as a jobber and as someone that you just didn't care about. They have done an incredible job of building him back up. But like I said, you got to keep that momentum going. So I think I'm going to make the bold prediction that Bronson Reed actually gets a win. He's going to continue to steamroll and just be a monster. But again, as you said, this definitely could go either way. Talking about steamrolling, I think we should steamroll it right into the next match, because we have 3 to go with a potential 4th. We'll talk about that at the very end. But before we get to the 2 one-on-one main event matches between the champions, we have one last mid-card title match to talk about, and it's a triple threat. This one's going to be good. This one could steal the show, as it's the United States Championship finally on a PLE. LA Knight, Andrade, Carmelo Hayes Now, Hayes and Andrade just finished up a best of 7 match. Obviously, they've been putting on bangers. Andrade proves that, you know, he came back from AEW. He's been in WWE, kind of very overlooked all along, but he can go in the ring. And Carmelo Hayes is him after all. You know, I'm that fellow Bostonian and all, but he's got talent. He's got a banger theme song, and he's just, again, got talent, as I said. And LA Knight is LA Knight. Yeah, you already know how that shit goes. So, who you picking here? How you feeling about this match? Floor is yours.
So, I'll say this, and you know, unfortunately, I can't believe I am going to say this, but LA Knight just kind of like that. I mean, I didn't lose respect for him, but like him interfering with that, he shouldn't have been the special guest referee. I get that it's supposed to be a story, and that's how we have this triple threat match, but it should have been just a regular Game 7. I feel like they didn't need him for it to be an already good match, because as like the 7th match between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes, it's that good. It's that good to see that type of, you know, consistency with them. However, I mean, we wouldn't have this match if it wasn't for that. So that did kind of lower, not even a little bit, just like I was just like, oh damn, come on, LA Knight, why'd you have to do that? And it was him that initiated that too. It's not like one of them attacked him. He was just like, all right, fine, fuck that, let's do it.
BFT.
You know, go rock special, you know, BFTs and everything. You go LA Knight, yeah, all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, now that we have this match, it's happening either way. So I am excited to see it. I do think it'll be interesting to kind of see how all three interact, because it's been, his last match was at, you know, when he became champion at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And he defeated Logan Paul, so it's good to see him in an environment like that. He's a cool guy either way, I will say that. I don't think they pulled the trigger on him losing it, though. I'll tell you what, I'll be surprised if they do. I will be surprised. Because I think, you know, since SummerSlam was in August, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Early August?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was the wedding.
Yep.
So, literally only been 2 months since then. So he's been on champion for pretty much, you know, 2 months. I wouldn't expect them to pull it this early. Because I feel like he didn't really essentially insert himself in this feud either. So it doesn't really make sense to really kind of lose it because of that. So I do think he wins. But at the same time, I think it'll be close. I think it'll be kind of like, ooh, is it gonna be Andrade? Is it gonna be Carmelo? Like, I feel like it could be either way.
Yeah, I'm just gonna right off the bat, bold prediction: LA Knight retains, for the reason that I just don't see where, you know, at the end of the day, LA Knight is a staple. Like, I think at the end of the SmackDown intro, it's like it ends with LA Knight, so it's like I feel like that's a very prestigious position where it's like they got trust in you. Like, if you like, that's always kind of been a thing, like growing up, is like whoever's like last on the intro is like someone that, you know, is a big player. So I don't see LA Knight losing, because I just don't see where LA Knight can go. He's not gonna topple Cody Rhodes. He's not gonna head over to Raw and topple Gunther, so he's not going up to the World Championship. It doesn't make much sense to flip him over to Raw just to go for the Intercontinental Championship. He very much feels like he's going to be kind of dominating the mid card right now as the U.S. champion. So that's why I feel pretty confident that he's going to hang on to the title, especially when Andrade and Carmelo have been flip-flopping, trading wins, going. That's kind of where the feud is. It feels weird to let one of them just randomly pick up the title when, like, they were tied with the other guy, you know? A lot of people were like, it's Carmelo's time when they saw this match. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you see them pulling the trigger on Braun Breaker, but it doesn't mean they're going to do the same with Carmelo. And I think they have been doing the same with Carmelo. He gets so much TV time. He's constantly on SmackDown. He's constantly featured. Just because you don't have a title doesn't mean WWE is not putting you in the spotlight. So yeah, I think it's going to be a fun match. Triple threat matches usually are always high action, high energy, a lot of close calls, a lot of close pinfalls, loud, anticipated, fun 2 counts. But at the end of the day, I do think LA Knight is walking out still champion.
Yeah, I agree.
With that perfect transition, as my final word was champion, we enter 2 matches here at Crown Jewel, which are kind of the promotion where it's centered. One match seems much stronger than the other, but it is kind of very nostalgic. Oh yes, go ahead.
I'll say, sorry, there's a fly buzzing around here. One match is definitely stronger. However, the other match has potential for a big shakeup.
Yes,
I will say that. So, but real quick too, I mean, I'll say it too. I've told it many times. that championship is ugly as hell, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, what the hell is going through
Crazy.
Triple H's mind when he reveals that shit? He's like, here it is, the Crown Jewel Championship. And you know, this big ass, like, stack looking, fucking hamburger looking ass championship. No way, dude. And I mean, even with like the what's it called? The logic behind it is that it's not like it's a championship that you're gonna wear the rest of the year or even like for next year. It's literally just for Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
No one's defending it. No one's. You're literally just gonna win it just for this one night.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, besides for accolades, right? It's gonna be like, you know, you put it on your belt, like, wow. I mean, honestly, not even a bold prediction. That championship has the same weight as the fucking WWE Speed Championship.
Facts.
That's just how it is. That's just,
And I remember it really reminds me, like, you know, they've already done weird ass shit in Saudi. It was like the greatest Royal Rumble pay-per-view
saw
way
that.
back, where it was
Yeah.
like Braun Strowman, I'm pretty sure, had won that night. And like you win the title, and it's like the title was never seen again. It's like, you're the champion of the greatest Royal Rumble, and that was it. It's like, yeah, it is very just like, it's gonna be on your resume, cool, but like, yay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I saw a video of like someone did like all like the Saudi like PLEs, and like maybe they just saying were bad. There's a couple of them I saw that were just really bad. I was
Yeah.
just like, because at one point, wasn't Goldberg in like one of them too?
Yeah.
Which, oh, we didn't even mention him. He was kind of teased to have a bit of a few,
Yes,
but
with Gunner.
yeah, that'd be funny.
Yes.
But like, yeah, like just a lot of them were just kind of like they're obviously they're there just to be there. Same with how it was with like what was it? Night of Champions and even King and Queen of the Ring. Like you could tell that there was some of it was just like, yeah, you know, it's there just to be there, but it's
Yeah.
money. At the end of the day, no matter the promotion, no matter the wrestling company, no matter the entertainment, it's always gonna be about money. That's just how it is.
Exactly.
So that's why we're here with these two matches.
Yes, for the money. But I think the cool thing is like this is a little nostalgic in terms of like it's a little bit of like Raw versus SmackDown. It's a little bit
Yeah.
of champion versus champion, which is very nostalgic because that's how they did Survivor Series or bragging rights when that still existed at one point. And yeah, it's gonna be Raw's World Heavyweight Champion and Women's Champion versus SmackDown's WWE Champion and WWE Women's Champion. And yeah, it's pretty exciting concept. However, I think it's just like timing wise, like personally, I'm excited for the men's match. Like that's a match where you're like,
Yeah.
both champions have been doing, you know, very well on their own. They're so popular. It's gonna be a cool collision. The women's, like, I'm a huge Liv fan, but y'all already know how I feel about Nia Jax, bro. Y'all already know how I feel about Nia Jax. Don't get me wrong, she has like done much better character work, and she has been a pretty entertaining champion, I would say.
I would agree.
Subjectively, you know, of course, according to opinions. But yeah, it's gonna be Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan. It's a weird matchup. Even just from the earliest sign when Triple H announced that it's champion versus champion for this Saudi belt, right off the bat, people were just like, "Oh God, what is this matchup?" Like Nia Jax, Liv Morgan. What's your reaction to this women's match, and who do you think takes the Saudi belt? It could go either way, I think.
It really could. I'll tell you what. Like I agreed to when he first announced it. I'm just like, well, here's what I was hoping. I was hoping Rhea would have won by SummerSlam at that
Yeah.
point, because that could have been a good match. Rhea versus
Yeah.
Nia Jax. That could have been pretty good, because Rhea's, you know, she's big, she's burly, she's beautiful, and all that stuff. But I mean, like, and Liv's, you know, she's a good, you know, good wrestler too. But like, it's the size matchup. We talked
Yeah.
about this before too with Nia Jax. Any match that Nia Jax, even when she was going against Bayley, you can even tell like the difference. It's just how a giant is. The giant like type of wrestler is. It's just like very slow moving, very powerful movement. Takes a lot to take him down. And with Liv, like it's really, I don't know, it's just up in the air. I do think, however, I think there will be some sort of interference. That's the one thing I'm thinking of, and I think it's also, you know, also kind of like a positive note is why, like, you know, for both matches it's champion versus champion, because right now, with the exception of maybe Gunther or it might just be him, but like all, or at least 3 of the 4 champions are in some sort of really big storyline where, you know, where someone from their feud could cost them the championship. You know, you got Cody and the Bloodline. You have, or even Randy and Kevin, like you alluded to, like that could definitely be a big part of it. You have Nia with Bailey or even Naomi or even Tiffy, and then with Liv you have Rhea, right? So there's something that can happen to each one of these people. At least for the women's, I do think that. Oh, I really don't know because I feel like that's just kind of like it's just up in the air at that point. Yeah, I'll say what if there is interference, which I'm assuming there will be. I do think. Oh man, it's tough. I do think that Liv wins. I do think Liv wins because she has Dom and she has Raquel and she has the Judgment Day with her, whereas Nia only has Tiffany. However, if there is no interference and it's just a clean match, I do think Nia wins. Yeah. However, and the last thing I will say about it too is I feel like this is the perfect moment for a cash-in. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like this, like even though it's for like a special championship belt that's only for the champions, I do feel like that doesn't mean that it's excluded from anything that can happen. Which example is a cash-in. So I do think if the moment is right, I mean, if they pull it, that'd be very interesting to see if they do. Because I mean, for a while we've seen that Nia is very controlling over Tiffany at this point. She's even threatening her, this type of thing. So I feel like if there's any moment to do it, even before WrestleMania, now is the time. So I do think that, wild card pick, I do think Tiffany tries to cash in, and I think she does take it off of Nia. Now, that would actually, if this happened beforehand, that would have been a really more interesting match. Liv Morgan versus Tiffany Stratton, that would have been a really good match. Yep. So it could still happen if she becomes champion. Who knows? So I do think there'll be some kind of thing. I do think Nia wins if there's no interference, but there is something that goes down. I do think Liv wins. Yeah,
I think you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. It's like if it's a clean match, it's going to Nia. If there's interference, Liv will find a way to weasel out a win. You also took out the words out of my mouth. That like I think Rhea versus Nia, better matchup. Liv versus Tiffany, better matchup, just based off like styles. I think. Prediction for me, I'm gonna go bold, man. I'm gonna say Tiffany Stratton does cash in, but it's gonna be like Seth Rollins on Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns style. She's gonna like cash in and make it like a triple threat match. She'll find a way to pin Nia Jax, and then Tiffany will not only win Nia's belt, but also the Crown Jewel belt. So Tiffany's gonna leave with like both. That's what I'm feeling.
I didn't even think about that.
That's what I'm feeling. Because I feel like at the end of the day, like if Liv or Nia win like the women's belt, like it's just such a flat ending. It's like, okay, good for you.
Yeah, like congrats, you win.
But like Tiffany just winning it all, like I don't know. I feel like that's the best way to make this match like memorable is to have a cash in. Like they've already been teasing it. Like it's getting closer and closer. They're starting to beef. It's like just do it. Just pull the trigger. Like do it in Saudi. Strap the rocket on Tiff just like you did Motor City Machine Guns. So even though she's not even in the match, I'm locking in, bro. I'm saying Tiffany Stratton. She's leaving with both the Crown Jewel belts and Nia's. And Liv's gonna go back into Raw and like whatever, like bad situation. They're gonna do one of those promos where it's like a whatever, I lost, let's get into my next storyline. Like like they're gonna brush it off, and then Nia's gonna go on this like path. She's either gonna be off air for a while or like go this path of like what the fuck. So
you know what? I'll also pull out of left field because I looked at it and people have talked about it. There is some relation to the bloodline with Nia Jax.
Yes.
If she somehow ends up, and even same with Naomi.
Yes.
They could try to push them in as well. I think that could be interesting, but I feel like, that would make perfect sense. So that would be a good path for her after this whole thing. So could happen. You never know. I honestly, I would want to see that. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's just, again, like the best way to spice up this match and give it some Tiffy time flair. But there is the men's match. This one I do think is just a great matchup. Very dynamic. Two very similar yet contrasting styles. It's just a good matchup. You get the hard-hitting Gunther over on Raw, your World Heavyweight Champion, versus Cody Rhodes, the man we built this podcast after finishing the story. I could see it going either way. Cody's been doing his usual, I need this for my family promos. And
Yeah.
Gunther at the end of the day is like, he won King of the Ring. Like, he's just like the great villain. Like, he could always just strap some extra gold on him, and it makes sense. He's just that kind of character where he can just be so prestigious. So I could see this going either way. But yeah, I'd like to hear your answer before I give mine. I think this is one of those, like, you know, it's 50-50. Like, you might be leaning one other way.
I mean, yeah, I also agree. I think, and I like how, compared to the other match, like these two, you can see the discernible different fighting styles between the two. Cody's very much more, swift. He's light on his feet. He's very much, he has movements. He's in the air a lot. He's trying to, a lot of grapple movement. Same with Gunther, because him, what he does a lot is like he's a very close-up fighter. He's got his chops, he's got his suplexes, he's got his his grapples, all that. So I do think that it'll be a hard-hitting match. Obviously, that's just roughly. I think that's that's worthy of main event. I do, like you said, I think it's just a split kind of which way it could go. I think this one compared to the other one won't have the interference that we talked about. If it does, obviously that sets up a lot for the storyline. If it's Kevin Owens or if it's Randy Orton, it could say a lot. Right now with Gunther, there's no one really to kind of start a storyline with him, so to speak. However, we did see what was it? Oh my gosh, who helped him out? It was on what, SmackDown, I believe. Was it SmackDown? Yeah, it was. Cody's doing a promo with Gunther, but then all of a sudden he starts attacking him because he's like, "That's it, I'm doing it right now." And then he starts attacking Gunther, but then Ludwig comes out, helps him. I forget who helped Cody. Someone like we weren't
I didn't
expecting.
see the clip. I didn't see it.
I'm trying to remember. It wasn't
Lost.
Randy. Was it Randy?
I mean, it must be. That's like Cody's only friend at the moment.
Let me look. I'm just gonna sidebar.
Yeah,
While I'll
okay.
keep talking. I'm just gonna look it up real quick.
Side note.
But at the same time, I feel like Gunther, there's no one with him to have any real interference. And because of that, I think it makes sense that this will be a pretty clean fight. Because of that, too, I think that Gunther is going to win. I think he's already someone who he's throwing head out. He has that aura. He has that commanding presence. And so because of that, it makes sense for him to be the first inaugural Crown Jewel. And he'll flaunt that shit, too, when he goes back to Raw. Yeah. He's like, I was the Crown Jewel champion for this great sport. Yeah. And all that type of stuff. So I think it makes sense because it would be the prestige. Now with Cody, he is the baby face of the company right now, so it would be a total no-brainer to see why he would win. But a lot of people are gonna be, some people will be mad as hell still, like, oh, Cody Hogan got into that championship, man. It's not gonna work for me, brother. He needs that win. So, I mean, split, but I am leaning towards Gunther. That's my take on it.
Yeah. Again, I'm just gonna, like, as we're trying to just plow through it, I'm gonna just keep going with the bold predictions. I'm also gonna say Gunther. Cody's my boy. Cody's the man that I always want to win, but he's been pulled in so many different directions. This feels kind of like more of like a side quest for Cody. It's like you have to do this because you're the champ. I feel like long term he's gonna get sucked right back into the Bloodline Civil War. I just see him being the fifth man alongside Sami Zayn, who's gonna get pulled back into the story as well. On Roman's team. I just feel like that's still the direction they're going. They're going to want Cody and Roman to continue their story after WrestleMania. So I feel like, I don't know, like it just doesn't feel like Cody gets much out of winning the title other than fans turning on him because they're like, Cody Hogan, just like you said. So at the end of the day, I do think they're just going to bolster Gunther's stats once again. I see him getting the win. But I don't see Cody losing clean. It's going to be with some kind of KO interference, bloodline interference, like something to cost Cody, giving Gunther the win. We made it through the official card. However, I don't know how much you have seen, but as I mentioned on Friday, word is we're getting a 7th match, which seems very
What's the rumor?
heavy,
Yeah.
but it would be a bloodline match. Now,
really?
I don't know. Obviously, everyone has been waiting and wanting to see Bloodline Civil War. There's rumors of a 6-man tag at Crown Jewel. We'll see. There's been leaks. I've been a bad boy. I've been looking at leaks. We'll see. So there's not too much to really discuss about this match because as the time of this recording, and this definitely should be going up way before SmackDown airs on Friday, that match wasn't official. But if we see Roman Reigns and the OG Bloodline at Crown Jewel, I mean, maybe that's what we get to see. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I do think the ultimate build for WWE right now is building to this Bloodline Civil War. That is hands down the number one storyline going on. If you're taking Jey Uso, who's the number one attraction, pulling him from being the number one attraction because this overarching story is just even bigger than him being an attraction, that shows you how much they care about the Bloodline. So, you know, this is all just gonna, again, continue to formulate. I still am sticking by my prediction that at War Games, it's gonna be The Rock with the Temu Bloodline for 5 against Roman, Usos, Sami, Cody. That just feels like the match. Will The Rock actually fight at Survivor Series, or will he like bring in like another replacement? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that all builds. But you're going to have to wait around for the Survivor Series pre-podcast, which will be coming to you next month. But it's kind of crazy that literally, I think, Friday is November 1st, Saturday being Crown Jewel is November 2nd. So we are literally days away already from a new month, another PLE, and WWE continues to steamroll kind of towards, you know, the start of Raw on Netflix, the start of Cena's retirement tour. Like, this shit's right around the corner, man. Yeah. But, hey, we might have hit an hour. We might be just under an hour. We kind of steamrolled through a lot. We have previewed Crown Jewel. Mr. Sky has come on and given all his intel and opinions on the matches and all the other storylines brewing right now in WWE. We haven't even touched the surface. We haven't even talked AEW. We haven't talked other wrestling companies. We haven't talked so many other storylines that we could have. There's just a lot, and we've been away because your boy has been out indefinitely with mononucleosis. But I'm back.
Sam Darnold.
I think I'm back. The thing about mono is, like, one day you're great, the next you're cooked. So we never know. But as of today, I'm back. I want this podcast out. And yeah, any final words? What match are you most looking forward to at Crown Jewel? I think that's a perfect question to finish it up.
Ooh, good question. I do think that, like I said, I think it'll be underrated. The Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Women's match will be good. I think that'll be a good way to kind of showcase all their abilities. I'm excited for Kevin versus Randy. I think that's going to be a match that'll have some long-lasting stuff. And honestly, yeah, I'm excited for Cody versus Gunther. I think that has the ability to really showcase the best of them. If there is some interference, then it is what it is, but we'll see some new Crown Jewel champions, first ever inaugural ones.
Fuck yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, that main event, presumably the main event, Cody and Gunther, is obviously what you're really tuning into this PLE for, to see champ versus champ, world champ versus world champ. But I think the dark horse match is the triple threat, man. Like LA Knight, Carmelo, Andrade, that's gonna be a banger. I'm like always a huge fan of triple threats. I just love the intensity, I could sneak a win. I don't even gotta pin the champion. Like, I think that aspect is always really cool. But yeah, I mean, we kind of brushed through a lot, but felt very efficient. For those watching Crown Jewel, do enjoy it. I'm sure it's gonna air some weird ass time on Saturday, so don't expect it to be at night. It's probably gonna be at like 11 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, some random ass time. So make sure to check your local listings as for when that PLE goes live. You can obviously watch it over on Peacock. But I ain't trying to promote no WWE. They got millions of followers. Make sure y'all tune in to the Story Continues cast. This was episode 16. Sorry we've been away for like a month now. But the mononucleosis, bro, no joke. We back. We back. Hopefully we can get in a post Crown Jewel podcast. We didn't get to do one of those for Bad Blood, so hopefully we can do that. And then before you know it, we're already going to be doing the Survivor Series content. So Mista, appreciate you coming on yet again. He's co-host number 1.
Of course. Been here since the start. I'll be here till the very end on episode 574.
Yes, sir. 574 specifically. Clip that. Yes, we'll be there. 574. But all right, guys. As always, this is your boy Matt RDK with Night Sky for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. I hope your story continues. I love that catchphrase. I love it. But yeah, until we see the results of Crown Jewel and where WWE turns from here, I'm sure we're gonna get even more wrestling buzz as the
Oh,
days and weeks continue, because it seems like that's just how it's been progressing. The Mr. McMahon documentary is out. We didn't even get to talk about that. There's just so much in the world of wrestling. So continue to consume it all, enjoy it all, continue your stories, and we'll see you guys in episode 17, which, if all things went well, is wrapping up Crown Jewel. If something went wrong, we'll probably be talking about Survivor Series or a different PLE. But 17 is next. So for me and Night Sky, peace out. Whoa, let's go, Cody!
Whoa.
Get that ugly ass belt.
Get your tickets. Get your tickets.
Yeah,
I got tickets.
I got 2
Woo.
tickets. I got 2
Fuck that.
tickets. Fuck that. So many catchphrases from all these Samoans. Alright, with that being said, peace out. We'll see you guys in episode 17. Thank you guys for watching episode 16. Enjoy Crown Jewel. Woo! Peace.
Woo. Woo.